somebody who doesn't have a mother or father. See, now you can't have something because somebody else doesn't have it. This is going into pure communism. While the elite are offshore and, have billions of dollars and red carpets. It's so hypocritical. But they're also promoting globally with Facebook and others with the EU to start just don't criticize Islam. We're going to arrest you or kick you off Facebook. The global initiative to censor is now here because they want to hold back humanity wanting choice, wanting true diversity, wanting the power to discriminate. Yeah, it's wrong to discriminate against somebody just because they're a woman or they're a man or they're white or they're black or whatever. But to say, I go to this restaurant because their food's better than the other restaurant where I get food poisoning, that's discrimination. If you're walking down the street and there's potholes and you step over one so you don't get your shoes wet, that's discrimination. If you hire somebody and that you catch them stealing a day after, discrimination is just knowing what's going on. So they've twisted words, and I think we're going to see a huge reign of censorship. My response is don't give into it. But Pastor Manning, you've got the floor the next 10 minutes or so before we go to calls. Correct me if I'm wrong. Augment that. Take your time. Walk through how you think they're going to counter-strike this huge global awakening that's happening, sir.
But a couple of things, Alex. I think that we need to be very mindful of a post-Obama era. And one of the things that I've noticed about the recent activities of Obama, number one was that the first of a president to visit some maximum security prisons and to begin to hammer the judges, the Supreme Courts, and the federal courts to release their sentence practices on prisoners and to try to reverse some of the sentences that have already been handed down, given the opportunity for many of these prisoners, people that are in prison that are inculcated with Islam, because black men that go to prison learn about Islam. It's very pervasive in the prisons, but also black men that go to prison and white folk, they are very inculcated with the whole idea of hating America. And they already before going to prison to become criminals, they had a warped sense of what is right and what is wrong and a warped sense of justice. I'm very concerned now as well that the movie industry has all of a sudden released a remake of the 1970s edition of the 8-segment movie of Roots that stirred the hearts of young men that sent men to prison in large numbers. Roots, as a documentary declaring that it was authentic, demonstrating the horrific or alleged horrific events that happened to black people with the slave trade, where most of the slave trade went on in Africa with blacks on blacks. That having been said, that I see a storm coming with the releasing of Roots.
Oh, the media is hyping race war 24/7 everywhere.
Yeah, well,
and no one's defending European slavery. But exactly, no one talks about that. Everybody's done it. It's wrong. It's evil. Humans are wicked. We should repent. But they are just hyping it. What's going on?
Well, I think that we're going to see the release of a lot of prisoners, and I think that most Americans are locked and loaded and ready to deal with whatever comes down.
I was about to ask you, what do you think this move by Obama, because obviously there's a lot of nonviolent people in prison should be let out, but what about this push to let violent felons out? What's behind that?
Because I think that he wants to return to a period of the 1960s, the 60s and the 70s, where the Black Panthers, where the Mau Mau's, and where black liberation groups, if you will, were very prevalent. That mindset is still locked away in prison. What you have today with the rappers, young black men that are rappers and wear their pants below their butts, they don't have that kind of mindset and hatred against America. I think that Obama's setting up preachers to come back from the prisons and reignite the communities. And I would say anybody living within 100 to 150 miles of a major urban area need to get prepared to see the rioting. If anything goes amiss or awry with Obama or somehow another Obama or something done to Obama's political ideas, such as the removal of Obamacare. I mean, listen, Alex, if Trump or anyone else were to take down Obamacare and it effectively goes away, you can see these people coming from prison now training young men who now wear their pants below their butts, rapping but really having no teeth, now beginning to look like the 60s, the mid-60s, and the early 70s when it comes to
so the Viacom CIA-run weapon system is activating the Beyoncés and all the rest of the folks to, say, go out and kill the pigs.
Yeah. So, but not just pigs, but people that are part. For instance, if you are a part of the whole idea that
Sure, and that'll cause a giant counter oppression of black people just trying to, live the American dream.
Absolutely. So I cannot imagine that this is not going to take place. I can't see how it. I don't think Obama would have gone to the prisons unless he wanted to indicate to judges everywhere. And most of the federal and state judges are very liberal. And if Obama says that the penal system has been oppressive, you're going to see cases coming back before the courts. You're going to see parole officers releasing people who normally would be kept in prison.
And they're going to make room for the libertarians, the patriots, the Christians, who they're now throwing the book at as the new enemy.
Absolutely. So I think we need to be very mindful of this, and we need to be mindful of this catalyst now being released in this Roots presentation. It's not good, Alex. It's not good for America.
And we have new listeners that the Justice Department announced last month that they're moving to basically tell judges and others, we're going to prosecute you or come after prosecutors if you don't let people off or let folks out of prison. And again, these are mainly violent folks they're talking about. I'm all for letting nonviolent people out, but no, they're saying, period, just start letting people out.
Absolutely. Because I think Obama wants to have a different kind of a brown shirts. If you remember that from back in 2008 and 2009, militia, rather than what would have been what the initial idea of brown shirts all about. I can't imagine Obama walking away from power, Alex. I can't imagine. I've told you this 8 years ago.
So you think letting the prisoners out like the Soviets and like the Nazis, when the Nazis took over, they released all the people out of the prisons that were aligned with the National Socialists, hundreds of thousands of them, and put them in charge?
Listen, when Castro released the prisoners during the Mariel boat lift from Cuba, they all flooded into Miami, into Florida, and then across over to Texas. That was the real start of the major drug problems in America, because and many of them were psychopaths that came out of the prisons in Cuba. So I think that what we see happening, Alex, I just can't imagine Obama walking away from power and riding off into the sunset when he knows right now he's got the courts, he's got the Supreme Court, he's got the judges, he's got the politicians, he's got the media in his hands. Why should he walk away and say, well, I had my 8 years, I
agree with you. He might try something. They're so bold. Who knows?
He's going to try something. No, he's going to. No, he's already put it in the works. I mean, remember, Obama is CIA. Understand that. He is a compadre.
His whole family,
Yeah, he's a compadre with Putin and Russia. He's not going to walk away from world power. He just isn't going to do. And anybody who thinks that he does, now I'm all for Trump. And you know I am. I'm all in on Trump. But anybody who thinks that Obama's going to walk away from power, you're not thinking. You're just not thinking.
Let me play this clip, the chilling clip about the National Security Force, where they want to make everybody serve 3 years out of high school as domestic political police, social justice warriors with badges, with guns. By the third year, they can graduate and get the badges and get the guns. And it's already happening with federal police and others. They're arming every agency and hiring social justice warrior types. Let's play the clip.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well-funded.
I mean, this is chilling what they're doing. So, sir, you've studied it. You're in the middle of it. You were right about Obama more than I was, how dangerous he'd be. I hate the Republicans so much that I was kind of neutral the first election. I'm actually embarrassed about that. I didn't support him, but I just couldn't. Bush was so bad. Who knows? Obama would be 3 times worse.
I can understand that. I can understand not supporting Bush. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Just in the one that we have before break. What else is Obama going to pull then?
Well, I think he's going to continue to exercise his powers no matter who goes into office. He's put everything in place as any reasonably thinking person would do, except for idiots like Bush. And I think that Bush initially thought that by putting Obama in power as president, because, you know, Bush had the opportunity to stop Obama's presidency.
Sure, he did, yeah.
He had the CIA report. George Tenet had all the information.
He let the economy slide. He even helped Obama get in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think Obama has what I see more of a race war coming like we've never seen before.
But more and more, has Obama double-crossed even the establishment? Is that what you're saying?
I know he's double-crossed black people, and he's getting ready to do it again. But they love it, Alex. You can't talk to them. They love it. but he's getting ready to double-cross them again.
We'll be back with your phone call. Stay with us, Pastor. The American people of every color really just want to be friends with each other. But no, the media won't let it rest. They just hype it and push it and drive it. Joe Biggs, there's been a shooting outside UCLA in California. Joe Biggs is right by it. He's going to probably have a live feed come up in the next segment with us. He's going to get on early with us. He's on at the bottom of the hour. He's out there covering social justice warriors, foaming at the mouth. I want to go to Michael in Louisiana, AJ in Ohio, Joseph in New York, Ed in California. The caller I was about to go to just hung up on line 2. They had a really good question about economic collapse. But another person, AJ, has the same question, because that's what I'm concerned about. I mean, when the Royal Bank of Scotland says sell everything that's paper and the elites are getting armored redoubts, I mean, it's all over the news now. I'm hoping things don't collapse, but I mean, this bubble's so big. AJ, you're on the air. Go ahead and talk to Pastor Manning of Atla.
Yeah, hi, Pastor Manning. Love you to death. And that's a white man telling you that. I know it's politically incorrect, but
it's okay. I'll let it slide. Go ahead.
Anyhow, my friend, I'm having a hard time seeing Obama actually leaving the presidency. I think, he has lots of weapons in his toolbox, and I think one of them would definitely be an engineered collapse of the economy. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that because,
Absolutely. I think collapse is his big, ace in the hole. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you 100%. That he's not going to leave power. If he may possibly officially leave the office, but he's not going to leave power. And if he doesn't,
you mean put in
power,
all his people? Yeah.
Well, he's already got the deck stacked everywhere as to how he will manipulate America and the world. He's got the globalists he's at their beck and call. But an economic collapse is the best way. You can always manipulate people when you can take food off the table and off the shelves of the supermarkets, and you can devalue everything that people have.
And
you
seize
can
their bank accounts.
Yeah. So I think economic collapse, it will be better than a race war. That's not going to be very effective. It will, of course, ignite some concerns. But you're right. On both counts. One, he's not going to leave power. And two, he's going to use an economic collapse. And though we all love Donald Trump and want to see him in power, we're looking at a very dark future for America. Very, very dark.
Great question, AJ. Anything else?
Yeah, just real quick. I know it's a little off the subject, but I had this dry cough for months, and I bought your lung cleanse, and not to get too graphic, but let's just say it cleared things up very well. So great product. Thank you very much, Alex.
Thank you. It's just a whole bunch of known concentrated herbs. The problem is it's so oily, you got to keep the spout clean under hot water because it clogs, because it's just a whole bunch of essential oils concentrated. Most lung stuff is just a couple sprays and some feel-good stuff. Doesn't really help you. I mean, we set out to make something really good, so thank you for the plug. Lung Cleanse is amazing. InfoWarsLife.com. Thank you, AJ. Let's get one more call as we go to break here and do one more segment with Pastor Manning before he does his own broadcast. Let's talk to Ed in California. You're on the air. Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, gentlemen. Alex, thanks for the show. Thanks for waking me up. Pastor Manny, I didn't call to start an argument or pick on you. I'm a black American. I work hard every day. I have a family with a strong, proud history in America. And a lot of times when I watch your Atla broadcast, you're very negative toward black people. I just want to know, why do you do that? Or why do I have that perception of you, perhaps?
It could largely be your perception, but I can tell you there is some meat to what you're perceiving. Mainly because you have to get black folks' attention. Listen, I live in Harlem, and I've been black for a goodly number of years. I have seen socially, politically, religiously, what black folk have done. When you're living in the midst of a community where 90% of the households are headed by women and men have no sense of responsibility, when you see children that are hungry and cold and are poor, you can only speak that as a truth. And to a lot of people, it seems very hard.
I was about to say, Pastor Manning, stay there. Come back and have the floor on this. We'll go back to the caller, but I want you to be able to speak on this because it's called tough love, folks. I mean, it's like if an alcoholic's drinking 2 bottles of vodka a day, you got to tell them to stop it. We'll be back. Stay with us. Pastor Manning is our guest. I love humanity. In my gut, I'm a God-fearing person, no matter how much propaganda is out there, no matter how bad people treat me because of what color I am in my life. I know in my gut, in my heart, that if I start hating children of any color, that I basically forfeited my soul. I just feel it. I love humanity. And it's a total setup where they play us off against each other. It's all divide and conquer. And when they sit there and have black liberation theology in the prisons, that's all Ford Foundation, CIA run, that's declassified. It's to make sure